This Sunday is the third Sunday after the Epiphany, and we're continuing that walk through the earthly ministry of Christ, as well as having those ideas of light in darkness and so forth. And speaking of the more natural world, I'm sure many of you have been watching the weather forecast, which has varied widely from a dusting of snow to snowmageddon with double-digit accumulation. So the first thing to say is that in speaking with our new dean, Chris wants to continue the St. John's tradition that we will not cancel services, particularly Eucharistic services. We will continue on unless it is truly some kind of a catastrophic snow. But watch your email inbox, but assume that the services on Sunday morning will happen. But our advice is to please keep in mind that no liturgy is more valuable than your life. It is not worth damaging your car or yourself to get to church, especially because we have a state-of-the-art television studio and a crackerjack team that will bring you the service via the cable channels or our YouTube streaming channel. So please make good decisions about your safety. Know that we will be worshiping and that we can worship with you even if you are in the comfort and warmth of your home. We will plan to have our service at 10:30, which will be live at the church, live streamed on YouTube. We are also planning to have our evensong Sunday afternoon beginning at 4:45. Again, it will also be live streamed, and so if it is if it makes more sense for you to watch that from home and to use the technology, that's exactly why we have that and why we have such a great team ready to make that happen. So, with all of that said, we have a lot of really wonderful liturgy prepared for you, whether it's here in person or whether it's virtual. Including, we will be having our monthly evensong this Sunday. And the evensong will pick up again on those themes of the season after Epiphany. The choir will be singing one of our more popular anthems, Jonathan Dove's "Seek Him That Maketh the Seven Stars and Orion." And it uses that very atmospheric imagery from the prophets in talking about God who cast the heavens and placed the stars in the expanse of the sky, and yet we have that intimate relationship with God, juxtaposing the grandeur and the intimacy of our relationship with God. And the composer Jonathan Dove captures that mystery with all of this sparkling, glittering, light-filled music in the organ and an exuberant choral meditation on those words. It is truly one of the most popular pieces that the choir sings, and for very good reason. Speaking of evensong, one of the things that is a very important part of that service is the psalmody. And in fact, the singing the psalms is really kind of why the service exists. The psalm that is appointed for this coming Sunday is one of the more lengthy ones, and thought it might be interesting a little bit to understand some of the genesis or why that tradition is part of evensong. So the book of Psalms, which is roughly in the middle of the Bible, that really is thought of as the Bible's hymn book. Those were originally, as far as we know, those were sung. There's some thought that the entire Hebrew scriptures were probably originally sung, but specifically the Psalms, those were all songs that were sung in the temple worship going back to David's time and certainly during Jesus' time on earth. And so the tradition of singing the Psalms started with the very creation of those texts, and it has continued without any break. The early Christian church adopted the Jewish melodic forms and kind of massaged them as music and musical traditions continue to evolve. And all through the medieval time, those plain song psalms that we associate with Gregorian chant evolved as a very formulaic way to sing the psalms, and they became a very important part of the daily prayer that communities would have. In England, there was a very unique twist on that tradition where they started harmonizing that. Instead of having just a single line that we think of with Gregorian chant, choirs started having harmony above and below the chant line, and that is what evolved into what we know as Anglican chant. And so the idea of having that psalm be a key part of a prayer service like evening prayer is something that goes back to very ancient times, but it's a way for us to enter into that world, that timeless spirit of prayer that the Psalms offer for us. So we hope that as you prepare for worship this weekend, you will remember that we will have services here in the morning as well as evensong in the afternoon. We invite you to join us if it is safe for you to do so here downtown, or you may always join us on our live stream YouTube channel, SJC KNOX. Either way, we look forward to worshiping with you this weekend.